Okay, hello, my name's Michelle Stephenson. I have a background in Leander, moved here in 2010. By 2011, I was on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I spent 4 years on Planning and Zoning, then ran for City Council. This is my first term, and running for one more term on City Council. I figure after 10 years of volunteering for the city, that was going to be enough. While I was on the city council, I was on the board selection committee and also the charter review commission. Currently, I have other volunteer activities in the community. I'm a Wilco Blue Star mother. I have 3 stars. My daughter is a Navy nuke. She's been honorably discharged. She decided not to continue service in the Navy. I have a son who's currently in the National Guard in Louisiana, living in Louisiana, and my son-in-law who's taking good care of my granddaughter out in Georgia. He's going to be deployed in June, and I get to have her for a month. I also work at church. I do teach a Sunday school class for little kids. We call it primary. I'm also a tribal member. My mother's a Mohawk. She grew up on a Mohawk reservation up in Canada. I'm a tribal member of that tribe. I am a member of the Founders Classical Academy Archers Council. We have a lot of interests, my husband and my family too. We are Texas Star season ticket holders, and I think that's our passion, that's our sport. We love to go out and watch hockey, and we're watching the Stanley Cups right now. It's really exciting. My background in education, I have a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of New Orleans. I'm actually a registered EIT in Louisiana, and that registration is current. I worked for 2 years in the structures branch in the New Orleans division of the Corps of Engineers before moving to Wisconsin, and then I worked for a company in St. Paul building biodiesel and ethanol plants, designing those, and also then I worked for another company designing a lot of structural steel. I did a lot of structural steel. I'm going to get on to more local issues here. When I've been out and I've been getting into a lot of the neighborhoods, when I talk to the people, I think the biggest concern for them, and what I hear, the biggest concern is the tax rate, the taxes that they're paying on their homes, because a lot of them, lately, and even since we just bought our home, the prices of the home and the values of the home have gone up significantly, which if we don't lower that rate as the values go up, people are going to pay more. As for the city of Leander, I turned around and I looked at the back of my last bill from 2017, and it has the rates on there from 2012 through 2017. And we get a lot of heat because we're the face that meets the people. We're the closest, out of all the taxing entities, we're the closest to you. And we hear that, and we get a lot of heat. And we've been trying to lower it as much as possible. We lowered it actually about 13.8%. So it's 9.22553 cents. We're the only taxing entity that has done that. And that leads into one of the issues here, which is ISD. We have no control over what ISD does. And, it would be nice if we did, because then we could work with them. But we have no control over their tax rate, and they haven't lowered it at all since then. And it's over 55% of my bill to that. So when we're only about 22%, it's very hard for us to make up for the tax rate of the ISD. We have been lowering it, but if we would lower it enough to drop everybody's tax bill, I believe the city of Leander would probably go bankrupt. And I encourage anyone here to go to the Leander ISD, go to the meetings, and try to figure out, talk to them, let them know about it, and see what they can do. But from my understanding, with the debt that they've accrued, it's not going to go down anytime soon. The other issue that I hear about a lot is the water rates. And I remember moving here It was first water bill. It was my June water bill. We had moved into the house. We bought the house in February, but we didn't move in until June. And I was in shock at the value of it. I mean, it was a big bill. I've never paid that big a water bill. So I was certain it was a mistake. I call up the utility department, and apparently they get a lot of calls from new people moving into the city over this issue. She said, nope, your water bill is correct. And I was a bit shocked, and I thought, so now I'm going to have to pay this huge water bill. Then when I started looking into the history of our water rates and why they are so high, it was very apparent that it was a way that the city at the time solved an issue of not having any water, because many people would come home, turn on their faucet, and not have any water. And I can't imagine coming home and not having water to take a shower, to go to work the next day, having water to do anything, to wash your dishes. And this was the scenario that was here. I'm not sure what they did when they didn't have enough water to supply the population at the time, but they started working on that. And what happened is the city at that time decided that they were going to buy some water rights from the LCRA. And they decided that they would grab those water rights now because the city was projected to increase to about 200,000 people eventually. And they wanted to make sure they had enough water for that growth and for the new people moving here. They got the water rights, and right now, as it stands, the city pays for those water rights and writes the LCRA a check. What we use is paid at 100% of the rate. What we don't use and what is held in reserve is paid at half the rate if we would use, other than using it. Also, the percentages of what your bill goes to, 49% is because of the debt, because we had to build the infrastructure. The infrastructure needed to go out to the lake now to get the water. So we have the Sandy Creek water plant, we have the barges that go out, and it was a lot of money to pay for all that. The administration and billing is about 13% of that bill. Treatment and operations is about 27% of the bill, and the water supply charges is about 11% of your bill. That brings up the issue of also in the future, the debt that came with the infrastructure, and the reason the rates aren't going lower is because it was structured. It was structured so that we paid less back in the beginning when there was a fewer people in our population, and they structured it so that as the years went on, we paid more into it. Fortunately, I believe since I moved here, the rates only went up once, and that's because we've had enough people moving in to help out with the increase that we're paying to them. It's about to level out, and we are hoping that before we need more water, we have more population to help pay for the next phase. And that is on the water rates. I would like to touch a little bit on economic development and be real quick because I don't want to bore people. The economic development, we are trying to get as much the commercial and employers into the city. The employers are the ones that we're going to benefit by the most, and we are getting them. I think the major highlight of what we were able to attract was the Gold Reserve Depository, the Texas Gold Reserve Depository. And what I think is significant about this is that we've had other cities vying for that. They were trying to attract it to their city. We didn't have the economic development dollars that maybe Cedar Park had. Some people were offering them free land. And what attracted them to our city, and I'm proud to say this, is our police force. Once they met Chief Minton and they met our police force and they saw how good our police force is, they decided to settle here. And in addition to that, we offered them the use of our firing range because their security officers need training. And we offered them the use of our firing range, which is free to them. And that was more valuable than even being offered free land. And I just want to say that we do have really great police and fire department here. And I want to commend them for their work, and that's where most of our money should go. I do have some priorities, and I'm back here, on the back here, there's some priorities that I say that for government to pay for. And it's safety of the citizens with strong police and fire departments. And when you look at how much we bring in property taxes, it fully pays for that. For those. Keeping ahead on the infrastructure needs of Leander due to tremendous growth. We have needs to keep up with our streets, widen some of them so that enough people can drive without being congested. This is important too. And also, we are working with city staff to encourage growth in our commercial and business and employment sector. We have employers coming, and with the hospital opening up, the hospital and ACC are going to bring auxiliary businesses in with them, and that will help us out. And I think that will help us out to relieve the tax burden on the people. We need enough commercial out there. And I want to say that I'm thankful for all of you showing up and for whoever else would be listening in. And I'm grateful to be here in Leander. I love this city, and I love the people, and the charm of it. When I settled here, it was the friendliness of the people that really made me feel at home here. And I'm just going to end on that. Thank you.